Hi ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Borderlands 3. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to be taking a look at Moze and my Frankenstein build for her, which is real strong. We're on Mayhem 4, we can dunk on a lot of shit, so that's just a base level. I was considering making like a highly edited variant of this like I did for the first time, but with the rate in which Gearbox sometimes tweaks things / nerfs stuff, I don't want to. So we're just going to make this freeformed. I'm still going to edit it down so we're not here for ages, but let's get into it. Okay, so now the first things first, the reason why I call my build the Frankenstein Moze build is because it basically allows me to dip into almost all of the other builds that people have made that are survivable in Mayhem 4 without having to commit 110% to one. Also, for maximum fun, so you're not just throwing Tediores forever, or, doing some sort of weird elemental thing with shields and grenades and the new anointment buffs, and yeah. Anyways, regardless, at a base level, our build is centered around the idea of Tediore Chucks. So that's like the bread and butter. If we're starting to like fail a little bit, just go to Tediore Chucks and we're gonna win completely. Now, another reason why I call my build the Frankenstein build is because, oh boy, is my build basically the hybridization of 1,000 different save files that I was able to find. So, yeah, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that I farmed forever to get these. I do not deserve that credit. And I might have been deserving of that credit if Gearbox didn't nerf a bunch of stuff in the first weekend and make me terrified of farming for them to only make things redundant. Anyways, regardless, essentially, if you guys do not know the whole Tediore Chuck build, Tediores do a boatload of damage, especially if you're able to get the right prefix, and this is the perfect prefix with spawns multiple projectile Merv grenades, cool, as well as they home in on people, that's pretty great, but the icing on the cake is, with the stock, it spawns multiple, so a little bit more grenades. I believe it spawns 3, and with this it may spawn 6. So it's pretty big difference. Regardless, you guys might say, well, oh god, the problem with this is that you're going to chew through your ammunition really quickly. Yes, but this weapon, shotgun, deals melee damage. And then this cut purse basically means whenever you melee an enemy, you get a ton of ammunition back. Now this only really worked with a shotgun, because for whatever reason, the shotgun's able to like leech a ton of ammunition, probably because it has so much pellets, and it just has more conversion with whatever you attack with. Regardless, this is great, and this essentially allows you to regenerate all your ammo all the time, or at least shotguns. Pistols, it doesn't really work as well, but you can still kind of make it work. Regardless, that's the whole premise around the damage that we're dealing, is just chucking these things constantly. Of course, we're gonna want to go with more magazines, so there's certain skills in your skill tree, such as this, where it's the more times you match a manufacturer's loadout, the more bullets in your magazine you get, and the more heat per shot you also get, which is irrelevant for us because we're not going for that. The other thing is that you would like to use some other weapons, so of course we're going to get some ammo regen, and we're also going to get some incendiary damage. Increases Moze doing incendiary damage. Now why is that important? Well, because, where is it? I believe there's this one, which is whenever Moze or Iron Bear scores a critical hit, they deal additional incendiary damage. So I think this applies an incendiary dot, so you'll be throwing your electric Merv, and by the way, your Mervs count as grenades, so if you have any sort of grenade scaling things, prefixes, that will also benefit from that. But you guys might be like, well wait, why is that irrelevant? Well, because Moze's grenades can now critical hit. There's a 30% chance for that to happen. So that all feeds into each other, and basically allows you to basically light people on fire. Now you guys might be like, well Grin, I know Moze's skill tree back to front. Why the hell don't you have this skill tree, or this perk in the skill tree? Well, because this kills us brutally, fucking all the time. It murders us, but it does give you an insane amount of damage. Like the DOT tick, the damage over time effect, is fantastic, but it's so good that it kills you faster than you can heal. So one of the things that you could do, and one of the things that we're kind of playing with survivability, is this shield. So this shield, basically, it's whenever you deal shock damage to yourself, you get full shield, or that damage is converted to shield, which most damage at endgame is so high that it's just full shield. Regardless, so that's what we're playing with. So the idea is that you would basically just, when you're about to die, you switch over to your electricity equivalent Merv, Tediore, shoot it, throw it at your feet, bang, and now you're gonna basically get max shield. And those things, if they hit shield, they'll also give you max shield. But the problem is that whenever Moze deals splash damage, which that is, it has a chance of doing incendiary damage. Now, because we already are buffing incendiary damage with this, and also the amount of damage you deal is the proc of that incendiary damage. So if you're dealing a lot of damage, it's a giant dot basically, to where, like, again, I have it on stream. I think I deleted the footage, but basically, I was on fire, like I did one of those, and I was on fire, and I seen my health or my shield, my 3,000 shield, or 33,000 shield just ticking down like by chunks, and I was like, oh shit, and then I did this again, and then it reapplied another dot onto me, so I just kept getting worse, and then I just died anyway, and it was a mess. But anyways, that's why we're not spec down. That is because I find the survivability and the amount of times you kill yourself is way too high with this. Now, I did just get something today which may have remedied that, so we'll see. I may try this at some point and be like, yeah, maybe it's worth it. But if you want a lot of damage, go with this one, but you really have to be careful your nerves are not hitting you in the slightest. And the reason why I think you could play with this is basically if you just constantly hang back and be a mortar, don't be like so in the enemy's faces, which is addictive and fun, just be in the hell of the eye of the storm basically. If you were to not do that and you were just kind of make sure you have a lot of distance between you and your enemy as you're chucking your Tediores, you could use weapons like, where are you? Although this still might do, well, this doesn't do so much damage that the dot I think will overwhelm you, so I think you'd be able to survive through this. Regardless, we'll explain this weird healing thing. I mean, it's kind of obvious. Basically, this shield absorbs all shock damage applied to you. So if you have any sort of splash damage shock weapon, that is really good for this. Basically allows you to self-heal. But this one in particular is fantastic because you're firing 3 shots, each doing almost 2,000 damage per shot, and it just has a massive AoE radius on its explosives. So this is basically the grog nozzle. This is like known in the community as the grog nozzle combination, where if you're like, oh, I'm dying a lot, you'll replace one of your other Tediores with a shock-like weapon. I would suggest the Devil's Foursome because it's so good, but you're going to need to get an electricity variant, which is quite the pain in the ass to get to drop, at least for me. You might have better luck. But essentially all you're doing is as soon as you get low health, you aim at the floor, bang, you're almost full health, and I'll showcase this later on. But we still got more math and stats and shit to go through. What fun! What joy! Anyways, I would also suggest that I just got to drop right now, actually, which was lucky, right here. This shotgun, any weapon that does splash damage and does a decent amount of damage at a base level is what you're going to want. So for instance, this one has a lot of pellets, so if we just aim at the ground, we're also going to be doing shock damage to ourselves, and we have a giant magazine with that as well. And it heals us not as much as the Devil's Foursome, just because the Devil's Foursome happens to just do a boatload of damage at base, so you're able to get more burst damage because it's a portion of the electricity damage, and the bullets always half the damage of what they base deal. Don't worry about it. Anyways, just get a weapon that does splash damage and lightning damage, and you're good to go. But also, the reason why you're not just using the Tediore one now, and you're like, oh, you'll be safe forever if you just keep using the Tediore. Well, I do believe that if the damage that you're dealing to yourself surpasses the damage that your shield can hold, you'll just get downed. So you're almost dealing so much electricity damage that you're not able to regenerate anything. So if you're down to like a quarter of a shield, and if I try to heal myself with my electricity Tediore, I'll just die. Whereas with stuff like this or the hand cannon foursome thing, that to me I find pulls me back from the brink way more. So anyways, those are some survivability kind of hooks that we have in our build. Cool. Now let's talk about, well, since we're on survivability, let's talk about this. Okay, so back in the heyday, the golden boy was the hex, the reoccurring hex, where you basically spawn 6 grenades that deal consistent splash damage, because they're like tiny little tethers that deal AoE damage, which all count as splash damage. So you were able to proc all your splash damage skills a lot, and you were able to basically like ignite people incredibly quickly. It was the best grenade in the game. But Gearbox recently changed this, so the hex does no longer do this. So this makes the hex relatively useless. Anyways, I'm annoyed, regardless. So this laid the foreground for other grenades to kind of have some time to shine, which was the Ghost Call. This is the best equivalent of the Ghost Call. It is the splits into 2 grenades, as well as has the roid damage. Cool. regardless, this one's pretty good, but it's a bit finicky. It's also anchored to one single point, which is less good. The golden boy from Moze is now this grenade that I currently have on, which is called the Cloning Maddening Tracker, which essentially drops 6 grenades, yes, so it's 6 grenades in orbit, which is great, but those 6 grenades can detonate up to 3 times. So not only is it like, it takes, like these 2 grenades fly out, then they explode, which is already 2 bits of splash damage, but then in that explosion has 3 grenades, and each of those 3 grenades has 3 explosions. So regardless, it basically just has you, it creates a similar effect to the Hex. Not as ungodly broken, because the Hex was like just constantly doing ticks of splash damage, so you're constantly getting that to proc. This one has a tiny, a smaller window, but it's still just as good. You guys will see that we're generating ammunition pretty quickly and all that stuff. Good. Okay, and you guys may be like, well, why is that important, Grin? Why is it important that we deal consistent splash damage that's around a pretty good damage number and all that stuff? Also has a pretty good radius. Why is that important, Grin? Why do we need a good grenade? Well, because again, I found that in the Tediore builds that I've seen, which by the way, mine is like a Frankenstein build, a lot of people in the Tediore builds go down this skill tree to get magazine size, which gives you an extra like 5-6 shots, which I never felt like was a worthy damage payoff to go all the way down the skill tree. But also, almost all of almost everyone runs the same class mod for Moze just because it's really, really good. Essentially, it's the class mod that makes use of whenever you receive healing, it goes to your shield instead of your health. So if we go over to this skill over here, which has amazing survivability, this also gives us survivability. It basically says whenever Moses damages an enemy with a thrown grenade, she gets a portion of that a healing, basically. So it's not about the damage that you're dealing, it's about the amount of enemies you can hit with a said grenade. Which if you're throwing 6 and each one of them are doing like, I don't know, 5, that's still going to add up to being a pretty good amount of healing, especially when you're regenerating your grenades as well, which is what this is doing. Okay, can I streamline this any better? Sure, so let's explain that. So the whole Tediore builds revolve around you buffing up your magazine, but I felt like this wasn't that impressive. Like this gives you 5 more Tediore magazine bullets, so that gives you a little bit more damage, but it doesn't seem worth it, especially considering I'd rather come over here and get the survivability, and then I'd rather also get some more survivability here, and I would rather just not go that deep down that skill tree because I don't think it's worth the extra 7 bullets, which I could just throw 2 more Tediores in a couple second time span without having to take that massive buff for getting things I don't want, like fire rate and stuff like that, which would make me basically not able to regenerate my magazine. So instead, we went down this skill tree, which this skill tree gives you some more survivability, some tankiness with your shield, gives you a little bit of that because we need points to spend. This as well, some gun damage, nice. This, which gives you a shit ton of base damage, which is funny because this is like the armored survivability skill tree, but has some of the most damage tier skills in the game. Regardless, bang, tons of damage. And then there's this, which this I just got this today. This may be not legit. Okay. I'll talk about that in a minute, but regardless, it gives us 133 damage, 5 out of 5 in this skill without any other one. It's insane. Regardless, moving on. We'll talk about some stuff in a minute, but anyways, that's the general idea of the build, is me kind of seeing the Tediore build's power and seeing, okay, well, I don't think it's necessary to increase my magazine size, as well as having to get fire rate and stuff like this, which I don't want. So instead, what if I went down this skill tree and just got a boatload of base damage? That way, I wouldn't just be centered to Tediores having big magazines, but I could also play with other guns and make them actually viable. So I went down this way. So that's where mine kind of forks when it comes to Tediore builds, is a lot of people go crazy into certain things like magazine size when I think there is a point of diminishing returns, so I don't go down that route. Yeah, I mean, there's other stuff here, like, again, more splash damage, but it's kind of irrelevant. This is also kind of irrelevant. I mean, it's nice if you ever do have a special weapon that requires you to get into Iron Bear and get out of Iron Bear, so it's kind of nice, but it's also kind of useless. Again, maybe it's better getting this now that I have some like for sure healing that's not going to down me. But other than that, we just have the base ammo regen, which is this one, and this over here, yeah, this one, which is enough for me. I don't find I need a crazy amount of ammunition regen yet. I haven't found the problem with it yet. Again, if I need like absurd damage, I'll just go pure Tediore build, which will give me a bigger magazine and more burst damage. But otherwise, if I'm just trying to have a good time, I'm just mobbing and I'm just fighting in general bosses, you can get by with this. Even if you don't want, like, we'll see. I'll show you guys this whole thing. Okay, so now let's talk about the red herring in the room. The glaring, what is it called? The white elephant? I don't know. The problem. Some people are like, what in the fuck happened, Grim? What is going on with your shit? Okay, so first of all, you do not need all your ducks in a row like I have. Like I've said, this is like a Frankenstein build. So what I've done is, again, I was super butthurt about them patching so much stuff in the beginning of the game. Like nerfing the hex, which I've spent so much time grinding for. Anyways, regardless. So I went a bit in bonkers, and I said, okay, well, is there save files? Yes, there are save files. So there are people on the Nexus, as well as people on YouTube, as well as just a bunch of channels that basically upload save files of their thing. So they're like, hey, I found this perfect equivalent of this Tediore shotgun, of the face puncher with the anointed buff of adding terror to yourself, which is just a snake eating its own tail. It's perfect. And then they upload that to YouTube or to the Google Drives or something like that. I don't know if I'll upload this to Google Drive because I don't really know how. If there's enough demand for it, if you guys like the results that I'm getting, then maybe I'll do it. But it'd be a whole thing I'd have to look into. I mean, if you're honestly, we went on like nobody makes it past the skill stuff. So if you're one of those people, cheers. Also, ho 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 mug. So yeah, that's essentially what this entire thing is. Like, these are perfect. They have the splash damage anointment, which is really good. I think there would be other anointments that would be a slight bit better, but still, I found one of these, which is nice. What is this is also broken, which is like after I exit Iron Bear, I can just. This is like a boss melting bazooka. I'm sure I'll show it to you. Sure. We also got stuff like this. It gives you splash damage. We got the ogre, which gives you me incendiary damage when I activate Iron Bear and leave. It's almost perfect. If it's shot twice, then it would be perfect. We have this, which is lovely. It fires twice. The only thing it's missing is an anointment buff, which could be what do you call it? There's a bunch of anointment buffs. One's like when you get a kill, you get reload speed and fire rate, which would be lovely for this, or even just splash damage, like we have on our shotguns, would also be good. Basically, I've scoured the internet for the best kind of prefixes. Now you guys may be like, what the heck, Grin? What does that mean? I mean that nobody titles anything the appropriate thing, so I just have to go and look at like people's Moze's builds and hope that one person has like the Forceman or the Devil's Foursome heal grog nozzle kind of noob tube launcher kind of gun. And it's just a pain. But also, right now, you guys can see that we are super low on shotgun shells, so all that we gotta do is refill our magazine, and that's good. Also, we're applying a terror buff. Now, why that's important is because our grenade itself has the terror anointment, which is gain increased damage and fire rate whenever you're terrified. So this whole build feeds into itself beautifully. Also, this is where it gets nutty, and this is where I don't even know if people just got lucky or if they just. I do think that everything that I am using is possible to drop. However, it's really probably going to take you a lot of time to farm if you're going to go about it that way. I'm not trying, again, I don't want to like, I know some people that make builds and they're like, this is what you're going to need to get. Boom, 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 boom. I farm for 10 hours. And I'm like, bitch, this is the exact same prefix that I've gotten from that Nexus save file. What is your problem? Anyway, regardless, I'm trying to be honest. Yeah, some of these I don't think are like impossible to attain. So these are all possible, but just everything is in perfect order. So for instance, we get splash damage on a base, it's crazy. Weapon damage on a base, also crazy. Gun damage on a base, again, crazy. As well as stuff like grenade damage, arrow effect damage, and magazine size, specifically great for the Tediore build and stuff like that. But regardless, now we're just gonna throw our Tediore Chucks. That was the wrong Tediore. But yes, it's just gonna do a lot of damage. Also, one of the things that is equally cool is that again, this counts as grenade damage. So this thing over here is also going to be giving us that whole grenade recharge. So it gives us an insane amount of survivability and not that much more damage because again, I felt like the Tediore builds already did enough damage, but also mine might do more now that I have that special skill. Because again, the only thing that we differ from when it comes to the Tediore builds is people go down this skill tree to get this, which I find more value to get this, which is a passive 130 damage always, not just with magazine size playing with Tediores. It's always in effect, so you can actually use other weapons and be pretty formidable. But let us just move past everything. I mean, we'll kill some shit right now, but you guys can see that everything is dying. Again, if you happen to find a boss or something, an enemy with like a badass bandit who just has a shit ton of shield, or sorry, health, just switch to the fire, Tediore, chuck it, boom, bam, you're good to go. If you're feeling like things aren't dying a lot, you can also activate the anointments on these shotguns, which is basically jumping into your thing and exiting, and you'll be doing a bunch of splash damage. Yeah, but these also, we do so much incendiary damage that we're kind of fine. Like, even though these enemies have shields, we'll be fine. We will cut through it all. But as you guys can see, we're low on ammunition, so we're also going to regenerate that ammunition as well as activate our extra bonus damage whilst being terrified. But yes, we're just gonna kind of hold back and be a mortar. Also, as you guys can see, we're not dropping our health, and if we did want a little bit more survivability, we could chuck some grenades as well as giving us some ammo regen, so that one bullet that we're firing can actually come back, which is nice. But yes, we can just keep chucking, everything dies. This build is immensely fun, especially if you want to farm, just because it's extremely effective, but I will say you do want to, like, at some point feel like you're in the fight, so we'll talk about that in a minute here, but I'm just gonna run all the way to the end to fight Trant and show you how much of a baby he is in comparison to us killing him and all that. I mean, I could try to show you guys something right here. Yeah, okay. Deal damage to me. Try to kill me. Get me really close to death. Okay. Alright, well, I don't know what's going on, man. Sometimes it I think it's when it critical hits. I just noticed, like, when you're really, really low health, this sometimes doesn't work. Like, you'll end up dying. I think it's because it critical hits and it puts an incendiary dot on you, which is enough to kill you. Alright, listen, sometimes it happens. It's not happening now, but I promise. Sometimes you'll be like, oh, I'm gonna self-damage myself, and then you'll do it, and then you'll just die. And you're like, oh, shit, because sometimes you'll do it, and the AoE will kill the bad guy that downed you, and you'll just basically have no enemies to second wind off. So you're like, okay, big yikes. What do I do? Also, how amazing, I'm in the place that everyone goes to, Athena. Listen, man, it's just a nice Serenity kind of filled place. Also, it has a ton of enemies with all kind of health bars, mostly shields. Yeah, it's not, yeah. Also, this exists, like, this build can survive anywhere, because it's basically just a Tediore build with me wanting to have more fun with other weapons and trying to make that work. And yeah. Okay, I'm a little bit low on health, so I'm gonna chuck a grenade and watch my health bar. It's gonna do like a little bit of damage, and then tons. See? Full health. Also, we do not regenerate our shield passively at all. It's like manually. That's the whole perk. The nerfing of that class mod, which is not that much of a nerf, but anyways. Regardless, let's jump down and do the things. So this is Trant. Hello. So we're gonna activate some haunting so that we get a little bit more damage. We're gonna break his shield. Boom. His shield's gone. We could just kill him with the electricity, but instead we're just gonna one-shot him. Well, actually, we did with the dot, but still, he's dead immediately. We're on Mayhem level 4. I don't think there's modifications helping us. Pistol damage, no, and that was all shotgun damage, so we are receiving no buff. Ooh, the butcher. Wonderkind butcher. Sure, I guess. I don't know. Didn't look the worst. Regardless, let us reset. And so that's the Tediore build. I'm sure almost everyone has seen that kind of build, right? You're just chucking Tediores, eviscerating the worlds, right? Let's load back out, reset the enemies, and I'll show you guys us kind of having some fun instead of just being so strictly halted by the Tediore build, which I think is important. I feel, again, that like Tediore build is strong as shit, but you're like missing out on a ton of fun with other weapons, you know? Which I'm not game for. I want to make sure people can have, like, again, I personally, I get bored. So I'm like, why don't we try this out? Okay, so now, because I want to have some more fun, we're not going to really play to the Tediore strengths, increasing its magazine so it has more of an initial impact, and instead we're just going to have some fun. So, we are going to equip some health, some healing, and I'll show you guys how good this healing is as well, as... What do you guys want to mess with? Sure, this is a very, very fun weapon, as well as it's very, very strong. Also, there's some stuff that we're not doing, like we could apply a debuff with our mech if we shoot it once, because we went down that certain skill tree that gives us that. So we're able to debuff enemies, which gives us just a little bit more deadliness and all that good stuff. Okay, so again, let's showcase our ability to heal with just this combo, which I actually want to try out in a Mara build. So now we're full health. Boom, full health. Even though we're getting lit up. Like, this is a fire dot we're sitting in right now, which is not doing that much. Come on, guys. Come on, guys. Boom. Full health. Keep fucking me up. Boom, full health. Boom, full health. Boom, full health. Also, the cool thing about this is that because we're firing 3 missiles, which has a giant splash radius, by the way. That is proccing this, which is actually getting ammunition right back into my magazine. But I also do believe that it's, whenever we score a critical hit, that also has a chance of giving us ammunition back. But say we want just a little bit more ammo regen, we could just throw our grenades, and our ammunition is going to be regenerating quite quickly. See, like I'm not able to go down. I'm stuck at 9, 7, even though I'm shooting as fast as I possibly can, which we can actually make that faster if we add some terror to ourselves. Terror me. There we go. Let's throw some more grenades. You're dead immediately. Throw some grenades. Switch to this. So now we're shooting a little bit faster, but we're still not able to like lose any ammunition because of how quickly we're generating our ammunition. So that is the power of the grenade, as well as just dealing 3 bursts of splash damage. So you're doing 3 bursts of splash damage, as well as those grenades just going ham. So it's so much splash damage that it's able to basically keep our magazine up, which is keeping our HP up as well. If we get really close and just start shooting, it does such massive splash damage that we're actually getting affected by that, tanking. So I really want to try this with Amara, because Amara has a lot of skills where like doing electricity damage basically gives you the chance of dealing other status effects onto people. So I think it could be really good, especially with her new class mod that whenever she takes damage, she regenerates her action skill cooldown. So I feel like you just spam her action skill, which isn't that strong, so it may be not a very powerful build, but could be fun. Regardless, this is like the whole grog nozzle tank build, which can work on anybody really, because all you're doing is playing off of, I mean, Moze can use it a little better because she can regenerate ammunition, but even if I'm not regenerating ammunition, this thing has a fast reload. Like I can show you guys right now that it's bang, ready to go again. It's not like, it also has 9 shots. And it's not like it consumes 5 ammo per shot and you're screwed, so it's not like that. Regardless, again, this can work with anybody. As long as you have this shield in combination with this, you're good to go. But again, if you don't have to just find this. If you happen to find any other splash damage weapon that does something similar, like, where are you? That one. This one also works, albeit less good because it just does less base damage. Come on, my guy. There we go. Boom. Full shield. All right, let's go somewhere that has more enemies. You're pathetic. Die in a fire. Throw one more for safety. There it is. I was waiting for that damn dot to disappear. Alright. Oh, but so this is survivability. I'll show you guys some weapons that deal damage in a sec, but I just want to show you guys that it's not just that pistol, although that pistol is one of the better ones, because again, it's firing so much splash damage, whereas this one, I believe... Yeah. Wait, do all those pellets count as well? Okay, no, maybe all that counts as splash damage. Okay, so maybe we may regenerate grenades quite quickly with this as well. So anyways, deal some damage to me. Oh, I shouldn't have thrown those grenades, because those are going to be piecing my shield back together too. Yep, okay, they're all gone. Now shoot me. Fuck me up. Perfect. Boom, see? We're getting our shield back just the same. So if you're having like a survivability issue, you could chuck some grenades and just kind of do that. With the grenades keeping me alive too, as well as the splash damage helping me greatly. We just keep doing that fire damage and just keep chucking grenades, and my ammunition's not fading away. Also, it's kind of chill. You just keep firing. We finally have to reload, or we could just throw some grenades, and I think that would work. Yeah, I do feel like the ammo regen perks break at a certain point, because eventually they're just like, yeah, they stop working. Like, they worked really well beforehand, but now they're not working that well, you know? Very strange. And it should be working better because we have much bigger of a magazine with this gun. So, very strange. Very weird. Regardless, so that's how you are not dealing a lot of damage. I'm gonna go back to my pistol because I like it a lot better, and it was hard to find a save file with that damn thing. Anywho, let's use this bad thing, which is really, really strong. So here's an enemy. Reload, boom, dead immediately. Fire, hell, craziness, perfect. Again, bunch of enemies right here. Just keep shooting him. He has a bunch of shields. Reload. He dies immediately. Immediately blitz down. So perfect. Same thing with this. Shoot him a bunch in the head, which this thing does crit. He gets immediately killed in like the first 2 shots. Boom. Yeah, it's so insane. If we just get 2 shots, boom. The critical damage, we're almost doing 1 million damage on a critical hit. Yeah, I can't even see the damage properly. Also, okay, so there's more things to explain. So if you guys don't know why this is so ungodly, is because things are stacking. So for instance, there's this. This thing gives us a 60% damage buff when we get 3 kills. Nutty. Awesome. And then this thing gives us 130 base damage. More damage. Craziness. Then there's this thing that gives us 15 damage. Awesome. More just damage, right? And then there's this thing which gives us incendiary damage. So just on a base level, whenever Moze does incendiary damage, it's just better. cool. Now, whenever we get a critical hit, by the way, we're also regenerating our ammunition, and we're not firing that quickly, so we're able to just kind of make things work. So anyways, it's just a boatload of damage behind us. But this thing does incendiary damage, great. It even can cut through shields, as you guys are seeing. But the funny thing is with this thing actually does two elements. The base impact is electricity damage. And then when it detonates, it's that, what is it, a 1,000 base damage of fire and all that stuff. So it's just really great on that. But also, the more you stick a target, the more damage it deals. You guys know that whole jam. But the thing that's interesting is that first bullet that hits them is electricity damage. But also, the whole basis of this weapon is, it's like I think a Full Metal Alchemist reference. But basically, it self-damages. But it self-damages in electricity, which we're absorbing into our shield, which gives us some more survivability. So this is just not only strong as shit, but it's also keeping us in the fight. So again, if you just layer up a bunch of these things, also it has pretty good, not survivability, sorry. It has a pretty good AoE splash damage, so you'll be able to get multi-kills on a lot of people. But again, if we're able to get, oh, so this is a shock trooper, so that's why we're not dealing the most amount of damage. Which, in this instance, we actually may need to switch. Because we do, well, no, this does fire damage, I suppose. So we could just layer it on. Pretty thick. Also, you're helping him, you bastard. And so he's dead. Now he should be a lot easier to kill. And that does fire damage, which should wreck you. Yeah, okay, it did. I was like, do we need to switch? we usually don't need to. We're pretty okay. See that? Yeah, that splash damage is so good. And when we light them both up, boom. So good. How good? So good. Also, finally, skills are working, man. This whole thing was like nothing a while ago. What is this? Yeah, see, extra damage that you deal adds to your next shot. So since we're doing so much burst damage, this also comes into play, which is sick. I also think there's something else here, like enemies killed and critical hit cause an explosion around. Yeah, see, that's the thing. So if we get a critical hit kill, which we are when we, this weapon can critical hit as well as it just does a lot of base damage. Also, it's healing us. Like, this is synchronarity, baby. Boom, dead immediately. Hot damn. And if you just don't want to do that, you can just throw some grenades or generating ammunition, the whole shebang. I will say, this weapon, it kills me because it's so close to perfect. Not only do you want the 2 times, just because it's more splash damage, which is activating our splash damage skills, but to have an anointment on this would be so sick. Honestly, if you're able to get this anointment, where are you? Where are you? This right here, where it's after exiting Iron Bear, you do not consume ammunition for 5 seconds. This would allow you just to riddle the shit out of a boss. And even though we have it like drowning and brass skill, we can counter that skill by becoming terrified, which will increase our fire rate by a boatload, which is pretty damned awesome. Just give me a minute. Have some enemies spawn. God damn it. So we do this. Now we're terrified. We switch to our one gun. We can fire absurdly fast. Absurdly fast. We're just like, we have so much bullets. We're still, yeah. We also did 1,000k damage right here, and boom. I mean, immediately eviscerated. Also, he was exploding like way after the fact as well. Also, that critical damage, man. That critical damage. If you're able to just get one shot, does so much damage. Like, that was one shot. If we shoot twice more, instantly dead. Also, the bleed off damage after that is also nutty. Oh, you actually survived. Oh, were you immune? Because, yeah, you took no damage. What's your fucking problem? Why aren't you dying like the others? Why? There we go, he died. It just took a little bit. But also, just being terrified increases my base damage. So that's also just something nice to do. But yes, if I could get a better version of this, but like the same prefect, because it's so good. How good? So good. So good. So good. Boom, immediately eviscerated. So yeah, this is what I mean by like, I like the Tediore build because it's incredibly powerful, but then I do want to have fun with other weapons. I don't just want to be hard locked to like this specific play style and be like kind of be sad about it, you know? I haven't used these yet. Let me see if this is appropriate or does good enough damage. It does. It's not as nutty, but it still gets the job done. Also, we regenerated enough bullets. Let's see. Let's go over up top side. Again, I do think you want to stay a little bit electricity based. But also this does heal you, I do believe, which is just kind of nice. I don't think it works as synergistic as the Alchemist, which is that assault rifle we were just using. So yeah. Is there any other weapon we could use besides the healing one just to like fuck around? Oh, also this works great too if you want to have more survivability. Oh, well, it's not. So this also works really good for survivability. If you're able to get any sort of splash damage weapon that deals pretty good splash damage at a certain point, you just shoot this, chuck it at the ground, it will start bouncing. And each time it bounces, it's dealing a boatload of damage as well as it's healing us. So we're basically able to be immortal. Boom. Throw a couple more of these. Not only are we 100% fine, well actually enemies do need to come near us in order for us to be 100% fine. But if you do need some healing, you can just chuck this to the ground. You'll get that burst of healing, more healing, more healing, more healing. And again, we have no problem with dealing damage. So again, also it's okay. It's not great damage. If you ever get critical hits, oh shit, there we go. More health. Yeah, so if you're ever having, like, again, if you're doing Molly 1 takedown and you want some healing, this is a fantastic method to do that. Also, if you throw these down at the ground, those will home in on them and deal some pretty good damage. Nothing crazy, but pretty good. Oh, also, we want to try this out. Pretty solid damage. It's nice that those perks are finally working. It's actually really noticeable. Those, like, bleed off perks, whenever you kill an enemy with a critical hit, they explode, which is actually a pretty good amount of damage. Alright, so here's some more enemies. I will say, sometimes I don't throw my grenade because it is visually a lot. Sometimes we're like, am I shooting a critical? No, I'm not. I was shooting his leg. Wow. It's hard to see. It's hard to see. Also, this is, I mean, it's good if you're getting critical hits because they automatically go on fire. So that's nice. But again, there's better things to use when it comes to that. Yeah, like a fire I think would be much better actually now that I'm thinking about it, especially now that we're fighting these enemies. Oh, also, oh, that might have been why I was using that. Corrosive damage, what does this deal? Oh, okay, this one just gives us more weapon damage. Yeah, this was the perk that I thought would be great if you were able to have that on a Tediore, because it increases your damage, but also your reload speed, which means you're able to chuck Tediores faster, and they stack infinitely. And with the Tediores, you're getting a boatload of kills really quickly in the span of like a small thing, so you just be able to chuck things like crazy. So I was hoping to get that anointment buff on a Tediore thing, but I have yet to find a save file or anyone who's gotten lucky enough to get it. But also, just wrecked. Just wrecked. Also, when we throw grenades, we also regenerate a ton of ammunition, so we could play off that too. Yeah, again with this build, if you want to use a butcher or any sort of high fire rate weapon, you can. This also works fine. I do believe. Sure, I have not actually used this yet. Let's use that. I'm just having fun at this point. I mean, you guys get the basis of the build and how things hopefully play off of each other. Again, survivability is playing off of our grenades, which also kind of plays off of our Tediore Chucks, as well as it plays off of dealing electricity damage. So forever in like the Molly 1 takedown, I feel like there are times when you need to heal, and sometimes, again, this kills me. I don't know, for some reason it's not now, but see, like right there. That's also a problem. So, yeah. That's why you want to be careful. So right there, that happened as well. So maybe it is just worth having this then, because this is just useless. I could just go back to this. The only problem is, when we throw our Tediore, there's a chance for it to be a critical hit. Now, what happens when it's a critical hit? It applies incendiary damage. Now, what do we deal a boatload of incendiary damage with? This. We're buffing incendiary damage, and the Tediore does so much base damage that it's just going to chew through your health anyway. So, I don't know, man. Again, maybe it's best just to like hold back, like be really far and do this, and when maybe you are about to die, you just do this. Oh fuck, I don't have the right thing equipped. And also the reason why we got dropped there is because this counts as grenade damage. This doesn't. This is just splash damage. So this counts, or this won't ignite us ever. So if we're feeling damage, we can just do that. So that's why I would suggest if you are going to go into the Molly 1 takedown, the only issue I ever had was dying to myself. So yeah, I would suggest this. But then again, I was also not playing with this whole like lifesteal kind of build, so maybe if I did it again, I would have no problem, because this grenade really, it's a grenade that is almost identical to the Hex, so this works really well with it. Same with this works really well with it, and all that stuff, so that kind of helps a lot. Also, it doesn't have the biggest radius, so this kind of helps as well a little bit too. But yeah, this is just nice in case you're about to die and you want to quickly heal. Also, it's good at stripping shields wonderfully. Also, this is really good too. This is one of the new legendaries, but it's basically whenever we kill an enemy or deal damage to an enemy, it puts a fire pool at their feet, which is legit. Also, it has the anointment buff of giving us a crazy amount of splash damage when we pop out of Iron Bear for 18 goddamn seconds. So if we shoot this guy, I think the splash damage should just overwhelm you. Yeah, it's not as good actually. I mean, it's good as soon as you get to past the shield, but otherwise, kind of not good. Also, if I want a little bit, no, if I want a little more, there we go, boom. If I wanted a little more healing, we could just do that as well. I bet it would work good against bandits, but it's a bit of a letdown, honestly, especially with all that, me buffing it and shit. What the hell? But this shouldn't be. I know this is strong on a base level, plus this is +2 and all that nonsense, so this should be deadly. Also, we're going to switch to Incendiary and hope for the best. Hopefully we can cut through everything, so might as well increase the splash radius, because it doesn't hurt none. Do. Oh yeah. Oh my god. Look at this. Oh hot damn. I just used this today. Oh, and we have a bunch of what do you call it? Still a ton of bullets in the magazine, so we're not like chewing through our magazine too quickly. Although it doesn't matter, we can reload, and it ain't a problem. It does have a little bit of a long reload, but it is wrecking. Even chewing through the shields, it's doing a fine job at that. Like as soon as we get a critical hit, they just get eviscerated, which is so good. Also, it surprisingly does a good amount of splash damage, or shock damage. Don't we have another one that's electricity based? Oh, if you had an electricity based one, that'd be sick. I have it right here. Shit. Oh, this also just increases weapon damage on a base. Oh, and it's 3? Holy fucking shit. This is the thing, man. Because yeah, I do believe it does splash damage. Yeah, and that just heals us. Perfect. Hey, big clump of enemies. I'm over here. Come shoot me. It's hard not to throw a grenade because it's just inexpensive and it always gives you a little more survivability. All right, so if I just get point blank, I shoot you in the face. Yeah, splash damage is enough for me just to be fine. Also, it does enough damage to just wreck you. Also, it does so much splat because it's ×3. Uh-oh. There we go. Because it does a healing zone. Oh boy, survivability. This really synergizes. I'm happy I got this today. Again, you guys may be like, Grin, how do you get this? Dude, that's the thing. It'd be, I don't know. Again, if enough people want me to make a save file drop, just so you guys can have my things, I will, but let me know. Again, it'd be a lot of work, regardless. I can't tell you where I've gotten I can tell you where I got the Tediore one, I think. The Tediore base that I built off of everything. But the Tediore base is very sectioned to, like, you can only use Tediore weapons. It's not like this, where you can use almost everything. But yeah, in order to tell you how I got stuff, it would be a whole thing. Because it took a long time for me to find, like, a build here, a build there, like, all that. Like, all these tiny little things. Like, again, I found this from a special Moze build. I found this from a special Moze build. I found this from a Nexus skill tree drop. I found this from the Nexus drop as well. I found this today from another a skill thing, like a save file build kind of thing on YouTube. I found this on YouTube, which, oh boy, man, if I could only get an anointment buff on this, I'd be so dope, so happy. Sorry, what I'm saying. Regardless, sure, let's use a little bit of this just to wrap up this whole thing. Use a little bit of shock on this person real quick because we do bonus damage as soon. Oh, also let's use this to get some anointment buffs. I'm just using the grenade to keep me alive. We're gonna switch to this. We're gonna activate this, which gives us bonus damage, 100% more damage when we activate our action skill. And now we're just gonna light them up. We're gonna chew through our magazine real fast. Yeah, and we're gonna reload because it's, well, actually, I don't know. Depends. It's hard to see like how quickly we're generating ammunition. We're generating ammunition pretty quick, especially when that whole thing gets going. Also, if we want to deal a little more fire rate damage, we're just gonna shoot them once, or twice, then we'll shoot them again through some grenades, and melted. We're getting melted. Give me a minute. It's not as quick as I thought. Again, that's because my action skill thing probably worn off. Actually, it should have stayed up. Again, it's not as effective as the Tediore thing, although we can quickly go kill him with the Alchemist, which I think should have some pretty good damage. Especially if we kill some things in the beginning area, giving us that 3 stacks of brass, or what it's called. Although that's good, it's not as good as you'd think. You know, it's okay. But I actually really want to mess around with an Athena build, because I think Athena can play with a lot of the same things Moze can, besides the ammo regen, which a lot of the thing that's like not exactly what we're using. Oh, also, I didn't really make use of doing that melting and brass thing, so we're not gonna have the best run with this, but we can still test and see what's good. There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna gain some stacks of bonus damage as well as fire rate. Now I'm gonna go over here and shoot you with some debuff. Throw a grenade, as well as just lay into you. I'm gonna have to reload a bunch. Also, I feel like our damage comes from getting critical hits quite a bit with this. And the whole melting and brass thing definitely helps us a great deal. That's where a lot of the damage comes from. Which makes sense, it's like a whole 60 or some damage. Also, if I could just quickly strip your shield. Also, without having, like, again, see, that's the thing. Like, we have how much? 19 bullets, whereas beforehand we had, like, was it 22? So it's not the biggest buff, but as you guys can see, a lot of the Mervs aren't even actually tracking to him. So it's like having a crazy, like, an extra couple shots don't give you that much bit better damage, whereas I think this base 133 does, you know? So I feel like that's a much better thing, although very hard to attain. Also, ooh, a bolty. Ooh, Tediore weapon damage. Ooh, only 10% though. But yes, cool. Regardless, ladies and gentlemen, that's pretty much it. Again, I think I would call this the Frankenstein build for Moze. Again, let me know if you guys want me to make a save file. Again, I don't even know how to. I think you need to go into like Google Drive, but also I have to buy memory on Google because it's been asking me to do that for years. Oh, regardless, yeah, if you guys want me to do it, I will. Just because, again, it's a bit of a pain in the ass to like find all this shit, especially like, again, it took me a long time to find this damn prefix. Because I farmed for it for like 3 hours, and nothing got, like, I just, for whatever reason, drops were not happening for me today, or yesterday when I was streaming it. But regardless, yeah, this was a pain in the ass to get, so I was like, I'm just gonna try to look for a save file, and I did. I found it, but it took a while. Again, and you can't find it the traditional way. You have to go, like, hopefully find a Moze build where the person found out the same, like, bing bing kind of thing, or like this plays off of this really well, and doing all that. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I thought I'd make an update to the whole splash damage Moze build, which we are able to regenerate a ton of grenades still, but the only thing that's changed is that we're able to have a lot more fun with a lot more different weapons. The only prefix, honestly, being nothing. Like, if anything, if you just want to get a couple burst kills with this, just to be able to make whatever you want to use, could be anything, the butcher or whatever, so you can get melting and brass so that you can use that and just start dunking on people with that, it kind of being the thing that gets the ball rolling. You can. Again, I tried to explain the survivability things. Yes, I love this stuff. I love, like, messing around with build. Again, I love when I found out this, like, electricity damage, and this is basically just like the Grog Nozzle 2.0. Which is so cool. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Subscribe button above me, as well as 2 videos from right. Thank you, and goodbye.